I think I like the first music.
I love the introductory theme song. I need that on. I'm gonna have to get that on my playlist. I need a longer version of it. I need the remix.
I saw Tim bopping his head.
Tree. Yeah. Hey, welcome everybody. Don't mind us. This is just the latest edition of You Get What You Get. I'm Rickey Hampton, along with my great friends Tree McDougal and Tim Turner, coming to you on a Tuesday evening. Hope everybody's doing well. We are doing fantastic over here. I think I'm speaking for the whole crew, but how's everybody doing tonight, Tim and Tree?
Tim, you go on.
Just wonderful. Got everything working. Good to go. Post-draft, still reverberating here in town since last Thursday. And we just don't know.
I'm freaking fantastic, by the way. So I'm good.
Well, you ought to be, Tree. You have you've accomplished a lot in the last few days, and who knows? Maybe we'll get into that later on. But let's talk about the NFL draft, which was held right here in the Motor City, and Detroit showed up and sold out. I gotta say, my city did a tremendous job. The weather was fantastic, and 750,000 people attended the NFL draft, and it was a party, not just Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. It was a party all week in Detroit with all kind of festivities going on, hosting, leading up to the draft, and Tree, your experience in the corporate America. These guys with the NFL know how to market their talents, their venue, their sport. I mean, the draft used to be the 20 years ago. The draft, you had a few thousand people at Music City, at Radio City Hall in New York, and that was it.
And you think moving it around was helpful?
It's Mardi Gras.
Do you think moving it around helps generate excitement?
Yeah. I really do, because I know here in Detroit they've been selling that thing for a year. Signs up all over the city. But Tim, it's just a few draft picks, man. Nobody's playing a game. But everybody's got all the Lions gear, Falcons gear. Everybody's there. I mean, what is it about? It's the draft, okay? It's spring. It's hope springs eternal in those type of things. I think that's what it is. People, 700,000 people there are hoping. I hope I don't get mugged. I hope I don't get robbed. No, I hope my team picks the best players ever in this draft is what it's like. And it's like they pick some really great venues, places where you don't normally get it, or it's an event because, I mean, granted, all these cities are really major cities, some of them not as big as others. I'm thinking last year was Kansas City, which is a mid-sized town, but it's like that's the biggest thing that's ever come to Kansas City besides the Chiefs in the championship game. The year before that was Nashville. Nashville showed out. I think it was 2 years before that was Nashville, because I think last year was Vegas. Vegas is used to big events, but you get places like this. Now next year, and when the commissioner said, next year's Green Bay. I can't see me being too thrilled, unless you're like real steeped in football history. Green Bay. Yeah.
That's what's up.
What I thought was interesting, so they had a game day. They had the game day team on one channel, I think ESPN. So it was like, college game day. And then they had the regular crew on, I guess, ABC. And so they were covering it on, multiple channels that they own. So it was kind of interesting. So they really made, like you say, marketed the heck out of that thing.
Yeah, I thought that was kind of smart too, because you got the guys who, the game day folks, they are steeped in college know-how of all the draft picks, and then the NFL guys, they get up there and talk about pretty much how they think they're gonna fit at the next level. So it's a really, and I think there was a third one, and I would not watch it because I'm nowhere near being a Pat McAfee fan. But they had him out there with Coach Belichick and some other guys for a third channel to get that take on it. The sort of, I guess, the freewheeling style of a draft selection. But I think overall, and plus, of course, we forget the NFL Network itself also had a crew.
By the way, I heard Belichick did a really good job. I didn't get to see any of it.
I started to say that because it's like take some clips of that. He's extremely personable. I thought he was out of place there because it was kind of a real profane, ribald type draft thing with McAfee and crew. And Belichick he seems to have zero personality and emotions as a coach. When you get him off season and doing stuff like that, oh my gosh, he's great. He's absolutely great, and he was really cogent and gave some really thoughtful answers on different draft picks. So
wow,
to everybody who covered it, there was really no bad coverage of it. There was some bad takes.
Nick Saban was really good. I saw some of his. I mean, I guess you're right, Tim.
You can't judge a coach by his persona on the sideline.
Right. Too, there's a double-edged sword on that too, because anytime he talked to the media, he was like a 3-day-old dead fish, around the Cincinnati.
I didn't want to talk to him.
Exactly.
I didn't want to talk to him.
Once they start collecting that check for them, they turn it over, checks, which is like, I see these former NFL players who get these network gigs. It really gripes me because there were so many of them who wouldn't even give the media the time of day when they were players, but now they picking up this other check. Now they can't stop talking. So,
but in the middle of while you're playing, do you feel like doing an interview? Is it required or something?
Post game, you are responsible to talk to the media after the game, and you have to.
I'm saying during the game or after. Sometimes I see them now talk to during.
About giving interviews at post game, these cats are just, petulant children, especially when they lose.
So judgmental, Ricky.
It's not. Early 80s.
Have you heard the descriptions? Have you heard how he's described these people?
Early 80s.
Without even knowing them.
Oh, time out. Early 80s.
Had to cover
the Falcons when they were good in the early 80s. My boss sent me to the losing team's locker room every week. I was always going to teams that the Falcons beat. I always got an earful from some really rude people. I heard more profanity there directed at me than I had heard from my own coaches.
Yeah.
Have you not heard it from me?
Oh, well, yeah. That's a different thing. You Coach Tree.
Yeah, but
maybe I heard it from you. I'm not sure. Perhaps. I don't know. Probably.
And that's not everybody, but Tim's pretty much. Tim's pretty much on point about that.
Because I remember one time seeing a guy who had every reason in the world to be a total jerk, but he was the most forthcoming, pleasant guy. Archie Manning, Falcons had just destroyed him.
Yeah.
In this for quarters. You see him sitting there, shirt off, this huge scar coming off of his shoulder from where he had surgery, and you just see all these welts on him from where he take a beating all day. But he sat there and answered question after question after question. Yeah. And so you can respect that, and then you got some guy like I'm thinking former DB for the Rams, Pat Thomas. Yeah, I remember Pat Thomas. He became an NFL coach, but Pat Thomas said, "What the F do you think happened out there? Blah, 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 bang, 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 bang." Yeah. I'm like, dude, I'm just asking questions.
You're definitely going to get some of that. And I think it was Sterling Sharp that wouldn't talk to anybody.
Exactly. Seeing him on the NFL net, getting NFL gig that grinded to no end. He was surly all the time with media. But then, once it's over, I'm all about y'all. I can't stop talking.
Yeah, that's true. And I think Belichick was the absolute worst that I've seen in my years of sports writing.
Right.
On to New York, and he's barely saying that. He's mumbling that. New York.
Thursday night, he was just the most personable person. If you've ever seen it,
I gotta go back and look at some tape of that.
You see that? What if you catch the HBO special? It was called Saban and Belichick. I think it was called. Him talking to Nick Saban, the guy it's like day and night. Day and night. I mean, he's alive.
What was the time period from when that was done and how he was most recently?
2 years ago. This is when they both were still coaching.
How many years?
About 2 years ago, when they were both still coaching. And this is Belichick's first season without a gig because nobody picked him up. He was remarkable on that draft, and you have to give him.
You know what? I do think his personality may have played a role in him not landing somewhere.
Oh, I think it did.
Because
total control. He wanted total control, and he met with front office people for these different teams. People here in Atlanta talking about, they knew once he met with the front office, like, I'm taking all your jobs. Oh, that's what the feeling was, because he wanted to do it all, personnel responsibilities and everything. That was the word. I mean, granted, I have no inside information whatsoever, but I thought he would be a perfect fit here because this is the place that needed a cleansing. But I think they did well with Raheem Morris too, because I think that guy's going to turn it around this year.
Yeah.
So.
Hey, speaking of the Falcons, I guess they have been getting ripped for taking Michael Penix with the 8th pick of the draft. Were they drafting 8 or 9?
They were 9th. They had been getting ripped.
after signing Kirk Cousins to a 4-year, $185 million?
180 million, 100 million guaranteed. And I thought I sent this photo to you guys at the draft grades.
Yeah.
I did send it to you.
Yeah.
The lower right-hand corner, there's a little icon that blocks out. Is a D. The Falcons have a D. They're the last team with a D. Icon is blocked out, and you move the icon out the way. It's a D-. It's not just because
what's the issue besides? I mean, what fans would have wanted?
Well, Falcons.
Besides winning,
everybody thought they were going to pick a defensive end, an edge rusher, and they're going to look at Dallas Turner of Alabama was going to be a fit. This guy Latu was going to be a great fit, and it was another kid from Florida State. All 3 guys, they said, pick any one of those 3, and you're going to be great. Now, and I'll preface it this way. Going into the draft, I said, Falcons side Russell Wilson, and then draft either that guy, Jaden Daniels, who went to the Commanders, or Penix. I wanted either one of those 2 guys to sit behind Russell Wilson. I picked Russ because Russ was cheap. Russ, because the Broncos have to pay the majority of his salary.
Yeah.
And you get Russ for $1 million. And he's a mobile quarterback, a guy that pretty much is going to mimic what either Penix or Daniels would do in Atlanta. No, but then I said once he was signed with the Steelers, I said, oh well, let's turn our attention to these defensive guys. And then went and got Cousins, and I was thrilled. But then I saw the price tag on it, and I'm like, that's a lot. You could do a lot with that money. And see now, I think go ahead, Mike, Rick.
No, I was just gonna say, man. The thing is, though, I know they're getting ripped. They're gonna need a quarterback soon. Kirk Cousins is coming off a torn Achilles. He's 35 years old. If you can get a year or 2 out of him, you're not gonna have to pay him that whole salary. Michael's going to be there learning the game. I think he's a hell of a player. Are you biting a bullet on him now? And people talking about him being 24. Okay. So he doesn't get the job till he's 27.
Exactly. 27. 27.
But he can still play 10 years. Yeah. Matthew Stafford is 36, 37. How long did Tom Brady play? I mean, the Falcons got a great talent there, Tim.
Well, I don't doubt that. And I think what the deal is, when I think this pick was partially made, and I'm going to say that with this in mind, they know they're going to get hammered for tampering on Kirk Cousins. I think they know that the penalty is going to be severe. Next year is a quarterback-laden draft. They're probably going to lose their number one pick when the league finishes their investigation on Kirk Cousins. They're probably
what happened with Kirk Cousins? I mean tampering. What?
Well, he was at his Welcome to Atlanta press conference and made a comment that, I was talking to the training staff here and blah, 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 whatever. Well, he wasn't supposed to be talking to anybody on the Falcons at this period, which means there was tampering. So it wasn't like, all of a sudden the Falcons just dropped in there and dropped that check on them. They had some conversations when they weren't supposed to have them. So there's the league is investigating tampering for Philadelphia, how they signed Saquon Barkley, but more so how Cousins, who went off script, the PR staff, I'm quite sure, is like, dude, say these things here and do not stray. Kirk strayed. And so they're probably going to lose picks and get fined next year, which is probably played into why they drafted a quarterback, because they want this shot to get a good guy now, because you're not going to have this quality talent next year or whenever the penalty. That's my thought. And I'm thinking also they feel like they can address all these defensive deficiencies in free agency and how they did it later on in the draft and their other rounds. But
and they're going to have a good team. They're not going to be drafting 2, 3, or 4 or 5 or anything like that. So,
but nonetheless, it was a shocker that they did that, because they paid all that money because, as opposed to, getting somebody on the cheap. Like I said, I wanted Wilson because he was cheap.
Wasn't Cousins? Wasn't it a shocker for him as well?
Absolutely, it was. He was. This is the deal. I had my family. The Sunday night before the draft last Sunday, went to the Braves-Rangers games. And Cousins threw out the first pitch. Everybody standing ovation for Kirk Cousins, because it's like, here's the guy, we got our quarterback. And 4 days later, we got another quarterback.
Is that so unusual, though?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Kirk Cousins should go in the Hall of Fame for contract negotiations, though. This dude has made a ton of money doing his NFL career.
The Falcons screwed up everybody else's draft board, because right from that point on, everybody else had to pivot and do something else.
What was it? 16 offensive players went in the first round, and 6 quarterbacks. I mean,
this is the most quarterbacks.
It was
3, and that's when they had. Just about everybody was a stud in that one. This Penix thing, and it sounds like, if you ever saw the Seinfeld episode where they thought that Jerry and George, this reporter, thought that they were in a relationship and thought they were gay, and they're always purposing, not that anything's wrong with it, and that's what everybody's saying about the Penix guy. It's like, we're not mad about Penix. Penix is great, but not that anything's wrong with Penix, but why he was drafted at 8 was a bit of a reach, was a stretch. It's not that everybody says we all love the kid. He's a great kid, and then they go into reasons why it was a bad idea. And it just feels like that kind of thing is on them. And people, and I heard Brian Finnerman this morning on the radio station, former Falcon, saying it seems like a situation where they've had before, where it had Chris Chandler in their quarterback. He got hurt,
Yeah.
They brought in the backup, Michael Vick. Chris Chandler never saw the field again.
Right. And like
Yeah,
I
it seems
said,
like it would be a smart pick. I mean, who do they have if they didn't have this quarterback? Who would their backup?
Gosh, Taylor Heineke.
See?
Well, they had. Yeah, is Heineke still on the roster? Is Heineke still on the roster?
He is. That's their quarter. Those are the three quarterbacks. It's Cousins, Heineke, and now Penix. Just said like a picture they showed of these dogs. The video you saw the meme. Atlanta dogs responding to seeing another black left-handed quarterback come to town.
Yeah,
that was just cold-blooded. So,
but I will go back to my root. I don't think that is a disastrous pick as people think. Kirk Cousins, 35, 36 years old, coming off an Achilles. That dude could go down at any moment. In fact, he went down last year. Nobody touched him when he got hurt.
That's true.
So hey.
Achilles are like that. When
you know what
injuries, and you don't heal as you get older.
Right.
You don't get younger. Write that down.
What I have learned
faster as he gets older.
What I've learned watching the Lions rebuild their team, and Brad Holmes, the young brother from North Carolina A&T, the Aggies, who's orchestrating all of this. Man, he goes for guys that he feels fit his team, and it's conviction. So just like last year, they drafted Jahmyr Gibbs, number 12. Everybody's like, why are you taking this guy at 12? You could get him in the second round. Well, he wanted to make sure he got him.
Well, you see what kind of talent he is.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying about Penix. If that's who you think he is, somebody was going to draft him. So
he's great. And it's to me, with the Falcons traded, the day the Falcons traded to get with San Diego to get Vick at the top pick, I was bouncing off the wall because I saw how he played in the Sugar Bowl. I'm like, this kid is special. He's going to be awesome. And folks are like, I don't know. He played at Virginia Tech as if that was nothing. Penix is going to be special. He's healthy. He's had injuries. He's healthy. He's healthy the last 2 years. Big numbers. Had the team in the championship game. Took a beating in the championship game and still put up great numbers.
I loved him. I'm sorry, Tim, I didn't mean to cut you off. I get so excited about him because he showed me, man, his toughness was off the wall in that game. The Wolverines pounded that dude. He kept coming at them cats, man. I'm like, that's a guy right there, boy.
Yeah, that's what he won me over like that. I saw play a couple of games before that and thought, wow, where has he been? Where's this guy been all year?
One of my buddies here in Detroit, one of my golf buddies' son played at Indiana when Michael Penix was at Indiana Tree, and they talked about his leadership abilities, how everybody on that team looked up to that kid when he was there. And he was a youngster when he was there. He played as a freshman and a sophomore, but that was his team even then. So when he's got that plus that talent, hey, and you think you want him, go get him.
I think this the same way I think this happened. And what it sort of feels like too is like when the Eagles drafted Donovan McNabb. And how the fans responded to that. I mean, they were just categorically hated the pick. He was booed on draft night by the folks up there.
Yeah.
This guy probably was one of the best quarterbacks in that team's history. So it's all fan reaction. Those people, the Falcons had a contingency of folks and flew them out to Seattle for his workout and was sold on him. They have, I think he's the team's former defensive coordinator or defensive coach who watched him play, had insights into him and some other draft pick that they have. they know what they're doing, or they're going to have to know what they're doing, because I think whatever honeymoon period they thought they had has been truncated. By making such a pick that it seems that across the board, nobody saw coming and nobody agrees with, except the people at Flowery Branch up there at the Falcons headquarters. And I think they have more information about what's going on in this situation than the media or fans do. So I want to see it work. Two great quarterbacks, you can't go wrong with that. Two people you can rely on.
And looking overall at the draft, I mean, and Tim, you and I are old enough to have covered this league and covered college football to see the emergence of the black quarterback. I mean, we've been talking about this for 30 years. It is unquestioned the black quarterback has arrived in the NFL now with the kid in Kansas City. Clearly the best quarterback in the league. His name escapes me now, as good as he is.
Who's that, Caleb?
No, Caleb Williams, number 1 overall draft pick out of USC. Jay Daniels, number 2, both black quarterbacks, 3 black quarterbacks
top 8
in the top 10 of the draft.
Yeah.
But then I think I saw something, not necessarily a quarterback, but were no HBCU players drafted?
Yeah. Zero.
Yeah.
Zero. And it seems like the same thing Doug Williams always talks about. These people, the NFL teams will risk taking busts in the first round and everything. But Doug says they try to get these HBCU players, they won't give them the big money. They want to get them with a Coca-Cola and a moon pie. That's what they want to give them. So it's all about that Sunday after the draft, where essentially it's all about free agency. That's what it's going to get. Rarely do you find somebody. I mean, even the super superior talented HBCU guys don't get drafted until the late rounds, unless it's like a Steve McNair, or Jerry Rice, or who just off the charts talented.
Yeah. And for all our viewers who are not in the South, that moon pie is a chocolatey marshmallow treat.
I want a moon pie. I haven't had a moon pie in years.
It's been so long since I had a moon pie, or a Google bar.
That was an RC Cola and a moon pie.
RC Cola and a moon pie, not Coca-Cola. RC Cola, you get it with RC Cola.
RC Cola. Are they still producing RC Colas?
I don't know. Used to put those peanuts in it, didn't you, Rick? Never mind.
We are really digressing.
Next
thing you'll be talking about is boiled peanuts. Yuck.
No. That first round went almost kind of with chalk, but Chicago made out really great. They got an outstanding quarterback in Williams. Hopefully, he comes against all the talk about the flash and the glitz and the glamour and all that kind of stuff that he brings with him from LA, and they got a great receiver in Rome Odunze, who's out of Washington. So they got their battery right there, receiver and the quarterback. They already had a receiver and Moore there, and I think they got a running back. They picked up DeAndre Swift, I think, in the offseason. So they're much better than it was before. So the Bears look really good on their draft.
I know Justin Fields going, oh, okay.
Now you get some.
Yeah.
Now you get.
And they got Keenan Allen. They signed Keenan Allen.
Yes, I forgot about that.
With DJ Moore. But everybody's talking about the selection of Michael Penix so high. Bo Nix went with the number 12 pick. I take Penix over Nix every day.
Yeah, but he's an old dude too. Because he's been around. He played like 3 years maybe at Auburn, and or two or 3 years at Auburn, then a couple of years at Oregon, and But Bo he's really talented. I think he'll well to the NFL. But Denver
he's 24. They're both 24, Tim.
Pardon me?
They're both 24, Penix and Bo.
And you think about these old guys in quarterbacking, because it was some stuff that came out last year that showed that Lamar Jackson and a couple other quarterbacks had been in the league 5 years, and Guy Bennett, Georgia quarterback, was just coming into the NFL.
Yeah,
older than those guys, and they've been in the league 5 years. So
24 is old now.
Well, for any 21, you should be coming to the league. 19, okay. 20, 21. 24.
Maybe they need time to mature.
Exactly. I think that's a great point, Tree. I think that's a great point. That, especially playing that position. I don't know if you guys remember our friend Joe Adams, who played 747 Adams, the Tennessee State legend, who's going into the Black College Hall of Fame next month, talked about reading and a draft pick of the 49ers in the 70s, said that playbook is like studying for the Masters. And that was in the 70s. As complex as those offenses are now, I mean, I think it's good to have a little older guy in there. Because Tim, I'll go back to my point. Okay, Penix doesn't take over till he's 27.
Right.
Nix doesn't take over. Okay. He's 10 years. You'll take 10 years of high quality quarterbacking, right?
Well, yeah, I would do that, because I think the guy they've been looking for a quarterback since Ryan left. Matt Ryan was here for 14 years. Okay, for 14 years. So, I mean, if you hit on your quarterback, you're doing something special. I'm quite sure the folks in Kansas City, they knew they struck gold in Pat Mahomes. That's the guy who's going to be around forever. So right. When you have those situations like that, maybe it's the same with Dak in Dallas. He's been there forever. When you get a good quarterback, you just you as much as I dog Matt Ryan, he had some good years. He wasn't great in big games, but he was solid. That wasn't a position the Falcons had to worry about for 14 years.
Yeah,
they could go do stuff elsewhere. And a lot of people, these revolving door quarterback get jobs. Same with New Orleans. Drew Brees was there forever and a day. You always knew Drew Brees was going to be there. For a taste, you always knew Cam Newton was going to be up there in Carolina. You knew that. So
Cam Newton was doing draft stuff. Speaking of Cam,
it is outfits. Oh goodness.
Cam was doing draft stuff. And speaking of Matt Ryan, he's going to be in the booth with CBS.
Yeah, they switched out. Boomer Esiason and Phil Simms are out, and they're bringing Ryan in with J.J. Watt, and on occasion, I think Jason Kelsey. I might be wrong. Kelsey, I think, is going to ESPN.
Yeah, he's on the pregame show with her.
Yeah. So Ryan's is coming in to be a younger, I guess get a younger quarterback perspective, where you got two quarterbacks who were big in the 80s. You got a guy who's more of a contemporary quarterback now on CBS.
Yeah. So
move over old guys.
Exactly. That's exactly what I'm like. Wow. I mean, both of those cats had long NFL careers. I think Sims was a Super Bowl MVP, won 2 Super Bowls. Well, really won one. The other one, Jeff Hostetler, won. But he was on 2 Super Bowl teams in New York. Boomer had a long career. He lost a couple Super Bowls. Nonetheless, he got his teams there. I'm not a fan of his. He hates kickers, so we don't get along. He always said the game was decided by a kicker, and he said there was such venom when he says it.
No love for the kicker.
Any other thoughts on the draft? We'll try to move on and talk some NBA playoffs. Going back to HBCUs, as Tree mentioned, I have not read of an HBCU player signing a free agent.
Free agent contract. No. And then there's one other NFL note. You want to make note of some video from one of the homes there. Isaiah Wilson, when he was drafted. And mom was there next to Isaiah.
I saw that.
And next to mom is Isaiah's it said fiance, girlfriend, whatever. Mom had moves once the son was announced to be drafted. We put it that way. There's video out there. Look up there for draft day. ESPN diagrammed mom's hands and how she was blocking off the fiance.
I thought this fiance was sitting there, and then which one are you talking about? Because I saw two different ones where fiance was sitting.
When the mom pulled the girl out, the young lady out the way, so ESPN's cameras could catch them. So
right. And then I saw one where the mom was sitting next to the son, and the fiance was there. She kept trying to reach over to get into the.
Yeah, that's the one I'm talking about. That's the one where it's like hands away.
Yeah.
But then there's a third one where you have these parents. Were interviewed and trying to talk about the hardship this family endured, and they put a mic in the face of this guy's mom, and she says, "Well, you must have come a mighty long way, your family." And then the mom says, "Yes, well, we drove here from Baton Rouge." It's like, yeah.
What the hell are you talking about, man? Oh my God! But you know what? That's one of the some of these interviews are just like maybe because I've heard so many. I'm gonna do whatever the team tells me to do.
I always wanted to be part of this team. I always wanted to be this.
Yeah,
probably any team.
That's it. Everybody dreams of being a Carolina Panther. I don't think so.
Yeah, so that's but hey, and you know what? I don't blame mom whatsoever. She's like, honey, I done raised this child all my life. I brought him into this world. I was in labor 18 hours delivering this boy.
That's right.
I took him to practice. I paid his fees.
Hey, you don't get your hand part out of the way.
That was
step aside.
That was special. That was.
I gotta find that one.
That one shining. But as I was saying at the beginning, that it has become a thing, the NFL draft, and now later this month they'll have the schedule release, and that'll be a big to do when they release the schedule for next year. The NFL, man, they know what they're doing now. They know what they are doing for sure.
And I think then they want to change the Super Bowl to like President's Day or something.
Yeah.
Really?
So everybody
to make it like a longer.
Nobody's going to work on Monday.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
they want to make it a 3-day event. Is what I think it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard to stay awake.
One other thing about the draft, the SEC had the most players drafted as usual.
I was going to say, I thought so.
Here in Detroit, Brad Holmes was talking about how he loves SEC players because they've been tested and they played against the best.
Which is my point. When I see the Falcons drafted anybody outside the SEC, I'm like, they drafted a kid from Notre Dame. Notre Dame don't play anybody. Yeah. Washington, the kid from Washington on defense, I'm like, who have they played against in the Pac-12? Yeah. It's like SEC guys, every week you're going up against great talent. Alabama, LSU, South Carolina, Tennessee, Georgia. Those teams, it's like week after week after week, you're getting, you're going against the top players in the country.
The SEC had 59 total draft picks, and nobody else was even close. The Pac-10 had 43, and the Big Ten had 42, the ACC 41, and the Big 12 31.
Did you guys see that video I sent about how quickly they do the jerseys?
They're talking about that, Treat, because it's like, to me, I thought that was just incredibly interesting.
Well, they have 4 jerseys for every team, and then they have nameplates already made up for every player that's in the draft. And then they have a crew on standby, which I thought was interesting. And once that name is that pick is made, they that team goes in and presses that name on there. They get it to the commissioner. Commissioner hands it to the player. They take the photo. That whole process of that T-shirt is 2 minutes.
Wow.
They stitch it on?
No, they press it on. They have plates with those names of everybody that's in the draft. And so then they press it on. But just the fact that they have that many jerseys, they have every name. So the minute that they know that pick, they can go in and press that name on there and then bring it out. And that whole process, it takes about 2 minutes.
That is awesome.
And that used to be impressive when the guy at the British Open would engrave the trophy with the guy. Yeah. 18.
Back there in the back waiting. Waiting in the wings.
Yeah. Wow.
I don't know if I want that pressure of getting that name on there right. But I guess if you do it enough.
Well, the chefs. You do one of those numbers.
The chefs.
Hey, the chefs, like the end zone, they had the Chiefs and misspelled it. The chefs.
Yes, the chefs. Yeah. Hey, have you guys followed much of the NBA playoffs?
Mm-hmm.
Just some interesting series. Even though some of these have been, Phoenix got swept. The Lakers, gentleman's sweep. They lost 4-1. New Orleans, and injuries have played such a huge role in these playoff games.
Absolutely.
I want to see Zion do well, and I cheer for that kid. And he actually played a lot of games and played well, especially second half of the season. But when they needed him most was the playoffs, and he was a no-show. I mean,
I missed how he got injured. What was the injury?
It was a hamstring. Can you blame a guy for getting hurt? Is my question here. Is that his fault that he's?
That was a sort of a kind of a sports talk question today, saying, how can you call a guy a bust if injuries are the reason his career is short-circuited?
Yeah.
And it's not like he was at full. Like, I'm thinking about Andre Bruce. The Falcons took him at number 1 one year. Yeah,
I remember him.
And he wasn't hurt. He just couldn't play. I'm thinking about what's the guy? The Russell quarterback out of LSU.
He just couldn't play.
They couldn't play. Played for the Raiders.
DeMarcus Russell.
Yeah, Jamarcus Russell.
If you're hurt playing, but it's not like if you're out doing something like doing wheelies or something, or this unrelated.
And guys have done that and gotten hurt.
Yeah, but how do you blame a person?
If you listen to our friend Derek Gervin, who former Nets shooting guard, played in the NBA and played over years for several years, he warned us of this with Zion coming out of Duke. He said, "I love the kid, but I do not love the way he plays because he's such a big guy and he's jumping all over the place, dunking all over the place." So the problem when you go up to dunk these balls, you have to land, and those landings will take a toll. And the explosiveness of his game kind of works against him in terms of his health. And he's you're right about that.
Yeah. Well, I think about that when it was a major, his shoe blowing out was felt from Duke. From Duke to Beaverton, Oregon, because like Nike folks went in and tried to figure out why in the world did his shoe, blow up when he was in college. That's a Nike's brand you're dealing with. So if you got a kid with that kind of torque and power on a shoe, then you mix in beignets in New Orleans, there's trouble.
I was going to say Nike's just having a hard time with uniforms.
Oh yes. That's another story to bring out there with the baseball uniforms, and they're going to change it next year.
And the Olympics, they've been getting a whole bunch of negative press about the Olympics.
Yeah.
So
uniforms.
But the first thing Nike would have to figure out is how can a guy 6'6", 6'7", 290 move like that to cause that shoe? Because he was just so freaking athletic, man.
Yeah.
So they had a early exit. This is I think it's going to be an interesting series in the West. Is Minnesota and Denver, defending champion Nuggets. The Nuggets swept the Lakers, but I mean, it's not like they blew them away. All those games could have gone.
Well, the last two games were last second shots.
Yeah.
And Murray killed them.
Yeah.
I'm not mad about the Lakers losing.
Yeah.
I've never been a fan. Never been a fan.
Never been a fan.
But my point about Denver, I don't think they're quite as strong as they were last year with their championship team. And Minnesota is this upstart team. They got 2 7-footers, Gobert and Anthony Towns. So Gobert, former defensive player of the year. How is he going to match up with the Joker? And if he can slow the Joker down, and that's a big ask, because that dude can play.
Yeah.
The Joker, I was talking with Paul Mokeski the other day, and he was talking about him having a lot of traits of Larry Bird in terms of passing and shooting at 7 feet.
Oh, yeah. There's a pass he threw the other last night, I think, was one out to Murray, which is like a big man doesn't do that. The big man I see a lot of times, anytime they bring the ball down, they're in trouble. This guy he handles it like a guard.
Yeah.
He is just an exceptional talent.
Yeah.
And Denver, I think, is going to be, they're going to be in the championship game again. I think it's going to be tight. Here's what I think. I missed the injury to the Minnesota coach because he's had surgery on it already.
Yeah. Okay.
So he's going to be kind of banged up trying to coach this next round.
Yeah, these West
Do you think the series is too long now?
Say it again, Tree.
So, I said, do you think the series are too long?
No.
Was it 7 games? No? Seems long.
No.
Okay.
They used to have these things. Wasn't it like they used to be 3 games and 5 game series back in the day?
A mini series. They call it a mini series.
Yeah.
The first round would be a 3-game series, then you go to a 5-game, then the conference finals would be a 7-game. Right. And I guess I'm sure the NBA figured out, let's make all these bad 7 games so we can sell this stuff out the wazoo.
Yeah, I'm tired after about 4 or 5. So about 5, like it's still going on. I'll catch up. I'll get. Yeah.
Hey, did we get to talk about Caitlin's? Did we get to talk about Caitlin's contract?
No.
Caitlin Clark's contract.
She's got a massive shoe deal. She's getting her own shoe. She'll make more than that contract she's gonna make in her salary for the WNBA.
Yeah.
So that's pretty awesome for her.
A lot more.
Oh, absolutely. And I think that I only read the piece of the headline. I'm thinking there was a player for LSU who couldn't find a WNBA team to play for. I think she's going to be going over to Europe, and people are like thinking about Brittany Griner and the issues that she had over there in Russia. So it's really tough when you're out of options that quickly.
It's going to be interesting to see what their next television contract is going to be after this year. If they could sustain the interest that they were able to have during this season, with the great South Carolina team, with Clark doing her thing and LSU, that's going to be interesting. So I'm hoping those salaries will go up. But I saw that the NBA is $1 billion. They post $1 billion profits, multi-billion dollars, and the WNBA clears $200 million a year, which That ain't bad.
That's not chicken scratch.
No,
not at all. Not at all.
That ain't bad. So you think they could pay him a little bit more?
Well, this year they're going to be crazy. That kind of stuff. Because Indiana especially. I think that they said that Caitlin Clark sold more jerseys of her jerseys than the Dallas Cowboys, the entire team, has already the past year.
Wow.
And that, to me, that speaks volumes to what what they're expecting from the league. And I understand, I think that WNBA season is 40 games, and I think 36 of the 40 Indiana games are going to be on television somewhere, streamed on network.
Well, sure they are.
Yeah.
Wow.
And already here, the season tickets for the Atlanta Dream have sold out for the first time in history. So
now, will you guys make an Atlanta Dream game this year?
Oh, I would go there. I mean, it's right there next to the office. That's not. It's the College Park Arena is a train stop from the airport. It's not a hard place to get to, and it's a great arena. It's relatively new. It's a couple of years old, so I think it's a great situation. I think the Dream played there, and the G League team also plays there. So it's going to be a lot going on. It's going to be a lot more traffic in the south part of the metro come basketball.
How can that be? More traffic than already there? How can that be?
That's true.
I just came back from there. I'm like, what? The south side is so crowded with traffic.
It's a hard place to be, but it's just a radical. I want to make a radical switch here about this, because I think she's accomplished a lot. Caitlin Clark, WNBA, has accomplished a lot, and I think our teammate also has accomplished a lot recently.
Yes,
Miss Annette Ogletree McDougal has successfully defended her.
Oh Lord,
her master's capstone. There she is with the committee, and there's her after her defense. She graduates from Savannah State University, and this weekend coming up, and that should be that's a great accomplishment. 2 long hard years, and there she is, looking like me standing next to Magic. Differentiation.
I know. When I saw that picture, I thought, I look so tiny.
Yes.
Hey, Trey, I mean, congratulations. And
thank you.
Tell our viewers the motivation behind you taking this challenge on and completing the challenge, which is always the thing to do.
Yeah, two things. I'd always wanted to earn a master's degree specifically from an HBCU. And then the other thing, once I retired, I wanted to keep my brain active. And although Tim may think that sometimes
there's some jokes behind that one, yeah.
Yeah, there are. So I think that those are the two factors. I just really wanted to do it for myself. But now my husband keeps asking me, when am I going to go back to work and use this degree? So, but I think it'll help me with my volunteerism with a couple of organizations. One is Habitat for Humanity, and the other one is the YMCA.
Oh, so she's trying to be modest. She's the president-elect for the Coastal Empire Habitat for Humanities. Coming in the next month or so, she'll be ascending to the presidency of Habitat over in the Savannah region.
Go ahead, Tree.
It's not paying gig, so I got to find one of those paying boards.
So
but I love what they do, and I love being a part of it. So it's a great organization.
Yeah.
So thank you for the recognition. I appreciate it.
Well, Tree, that is so cool. Were you able to get right back in the swing of things in terms of the academic piece?
No. I was thinking about the time period between, from undergrad, finished in 82 to now. That's a big jump. But, once I started doing it, it did kind of get into a rhythm. but it just felt different from, partying and going to parties from 2 a.m. to 6 a.m., still trying to study. And then I'm a much better student now because I was a little bit more dedicated. So, yeah.
You know what, you got to have a plan. I mean, at Virginia Union, no matter what I did, Sunday, I'm studying, man.
That one day,
But the thing about it, if you get 6 good hours of studying in and preparing for your classes, it worked for me anyway.
Yeah.
On that Sunday,
I was not as diligent in undergrad, but I did get out. I had good jobs along the way. But yeah, I think I treated this more like a job because I wasn't working. But I give credit so much to the students in the class, in the program. I was telling them, I don't know how they do the amount of work that we had to do in this program and still work. So, I told them that I was just in awe of their efforts as well, because that's hard. It's a lot of writing.
We are in awe of you, my sister, and congratulations to you.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate it.
Well, one more thing before we go, just a hot second. The Sixers staved off elimination. They won 112-106. So it's a 3-2 series. So they get to play a game 6 and just extend it for a little bit.
Okay.
Maxie had 44 at last count.
Good night.
Wow.
44 points, yeah. And Brunson had 40.
He was outstanding for what I saw.
Yeah,
he was
going
crazy.
And we'll talk about it next time, but the East is going to be interesting too, because Boston had the dominant regular season, but they get kind of shaky in the playoffs. So we'll talk about it next time. But we need to get out of here. For my great friends, Tree McDougal and Tim Turner and Rick Hampton.
Go Celtics and be kind, everyone. See you guys.